We are back and better than ever with a great topic for the night. So come on in. We'll give everyone a good minute to get in before we really start doing our stuff. I have to sneeze. I'm going to mute myself.
God bless you. I bet you it was a really cute sneeze, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
All right.
I'm going to have to eat a little bit of my salad on Monday Night Domains. So it's Monday Night Salad in Domains.
Hey, I saw your picture of your dinner tonight with your flowers and everything.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Did Mom show you?
Yeah.
Look how here. Do you guys want to see? Well, my salad doesn't look nearly as cute. If you go to my not my business Instagram, but my personal Instagram at how.julie, you can see the cutest. I'll show you my setup. I had these cute little flowers for my dinner, and I have this pink because everything's better when it's pretty, obviously. And so I have a probiotic drink that I like to drink on Mondays just to like get the gut health up for the weekend and just to feel fancy. So it's not alcohol. It's the poppies. You've probably heard of them. They were huge in influencer marketing. But I have a little poppy. They're non-alcoholic, good for your gut, low sugar, low calorie sodas. So they need to pay me for an ad for that.
Julie, speaking of influencers, this whole influencer game is really hitting it hard. I watched the Kentucky Derby over the weekend.
Yes.
And their coverage was dominated. There's 19 horses in the field, right? So you got 19 horses. You have 150,000 people. You have people that have been racing horses for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, most of them older. And they really seemed to focus on this one group that was owned by they had the older guy there. And then one of the owners of the horse was this influencer. Did you see that?
I saw it all over TikTok, and I saw all the fashion trends, of course, on TikTok. All the influencers go. But the horse's name was Sandman, and he also was going to have like a legacy chance. No one's ever won the Derby in the slot that he was in. I've never watched horse racing. And I know all this because I follow the guy because I think he's cute. But yeah, it worked. And now the Derby had a record high number of viewers this year because it wasn't just like stupid rich people that we know nothing about because they work in corporate America and have to hide themselves behind a million piles of security. So this guy, he has 2 million followers on TikTok, so I guess that got him enough money to buy a racehorse.
Well, and he even said it. He even said as they were fading out of the interview, you know, Gen Z is coming to horse racing. And then there was another, they have this thing where they walk the horses from the back stables out to the paddock. And the one guy had the green outfit on, and they were saying that they were going to let people like crowd own a horse. And then one of those people was going to get to be able to walk up, like do that next year with the horse or something like that.
I need Alex Earl to do this because part of her platform, she's also just a really good influence, like good as a person influencer. One of the things that she does is she fosters dogs. And she talks about like her love for animals, and she'll go to the local shelter and she'll like spend a lot of money on animals. And so I feel like and she was there because she's a fashion influencer. Right. So I feel like the Derby would be a good place for her. But I feel like what gets people involved is they see someone they already like on social media, and it kind of gives you the behind the scenes. So you're getting the movie, like the Secretariat movie, before it's even made. Mm-hmm. That makes you invested in what's going to happen because like you're invested in the life of this person. And even if it like, and I'm also seeing a huge trend with micro influencers kind of taking over because they give more attention and more love to what they're doing. And it looks better for the company. If you're Hermes, you're not trying to use many influencers. You're trying to keep that luxury branding. But if you're trying to market to everybody, a lot of micro influencers, it makes you look good and it'll give you more time in their space. And people will get attached to those people even as micro influencers, and then it grows their following, which grows your following. Anyway, sorry.
No, I think it's but you know me, I'm always thinking about domains. So I was thinking, Julie, we have an industry. Thank you. A shout out to Freename, our sponsor, and Davide, the CEO of Freename, did a presentation at the Nordic Domain Name Nordic Domain Days, which has become a wonderful conference for people in Europe and people around the world. People travel from all over. Our favorite Mr. Premium was there. So, but anyway, he did a presentation and he talked about the difference between Web 2 from a really high level. And one of the interesting things was where he had Web 2 domains, he had the ages 45 and above represented like over 90% of the people that own those domains. They still remember the bubble of what is now 25 years ago was this internet bubble. All the .coms are taken, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he talked about Web3, how it's the exact opposite, you know what I mean? 70 to 80% of the people are under 30. So I'm thinking we got an industry here that needs to communicate with the next generation. If we only had an influencer like Julie that could talk their language, you know?
To talk to. I'm cute enough. I'll do. No, I mean, I think a lot of that does come from like the generational wealth situation where like domains, it is an investment. When you're getting into these ultra premium domains, they are an investment. And I think sometimes we might focus so much on trying to convince people that domains are worth the money that we forget to mention that there are other domains you can buy for hand register and flip for, you know, $100, and that's still an income, and then you can reinvest that back into your portfolio. But I wonder if in all the talk that we're doing about, yes, you can make $1 million on a domain, you can buy this name for 10 grand and flip it for 10 million, and domains are going for 10 millions of dollars, then we kind of exclude the younger generation who we're doing okay to buy a house. And by we, I don't mean me. I cannot buy a house. So
but you feel like you're priced out. That's a lot of the work that our backers, the backers of Free Name, have done. They talked about how this younger generations feel all the places are taken. You know, it's like showing up late to a party or a job interview or something, you know what I mean? And all the seats are taken, you know what I mean? And it's like you can sit in the back or you're just out of luck. And so they're more receptive to new things because the alternative is to stand in line behind everyone else. I felt this when I entered the workforce back in 80. And the baby boomers had been in front of me and they had taken most of the jobs, you know what I mean? They had filled up like the entry level job and then the manager job and then the vice president job. And then, and it was really going to be, you know, you're really going to have to work through a lot of people. So I think when it comes to domains and this concept that you talked about with micro influencers, I think one of the things I'm going to try to steer Monday Night Domains is to not lump all domains and domaining into one big pot, because that's a big part of the misinformation is, yes, Julie?
I just had a thought.
What's that?
And I feel like it's a smart thought, so I had to interrupt to say it. I'm so sorry. So because all the people who own domains and who own the good domains are 45 and above, not to bring this up because it's a little morbid, when these people, like, you know, domaining is an industry you can be in for a long time. Even when you're retired, you can keep your domains and you can do this industry. So do you think as people start to do what happens after retiring, then their kids might start to take over their portfolios, and then we might see more younger people in domain investing?
That's a really good question. I myself, as I get older, wonder what's going to happen to my portfolio.
And care of. I thought you knew exactly what was going to happen.
Well, but I used to think my only option was going to be to sell it. You know what I mean?
Oh, do you think people might sell it to other domainers and not give it to them?
I thought that was my only option, because I'd be like, well, my family doesn't want domains. They want the cash flow. You know what I mean? And even my wife may not understand domains or how to own domains. So the thing is that, as we've talked about a lot, you never know when your domains are going to sell. Most of them aren't going to sell this year for the price you want. Now, we talked about this a lot. I want to remind everybody, not all domains are created equal. Good domains, ultra premium domains, top tier domains have a value. One word domains, short domains, they have a value, but then you want to sell it for a lot more than that. but it's not like they're worth nothing. Now, speculative domains don't have a value. They're available right now. You can buy them because no one else wanted them as of today. And you buy them and you hope that in the future someone wants them. And those are two different things, right?
So
Buying a speculative domain is different than buying a name that has inherent value. But but now, Julie, with you coming on board, I can picture that I don't have to necessarily sell everything. And
yeah.
you're right. It would be great. Maybe Julie could have a class like, do your parents own a bunch of domains? You better figure out what to do with them, and there you go.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like it's something that we talk a lot about how much emotion plays into domain buying. Like,
Yeah.
these aren't just things. It's kind of like whenever you buy, if you're big into investing in property, like you're not just gonna sell all that because you're not gonna get the price you want for it. Even if you can get someone to like bulk purchase a domain name portfolio, like those are your babies, like you invested in them. You kind of want them to stick around and have meaning, and you don't want to just throw everything to the Goodwill. So
Nat Cohen is one of the most successful domainers of all time, and he's the first person who mentioned the word collector to me. And he said, I admit I'm a collector.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm a collector. And just like a collector would have watches or baseball cards or something, and they would have them in their little box or their safe, and they would have a story behind each one. You're right. It's like, and then someone says, well, we'll just picture like a domainer who maybe passes away. And then someone just looks at the portfolio and goes, okay, let's just get whatever we can for them. That would like crush the heart of me as the domainer. Like, no, each one of these was so valuable to itself, and this is the reason why it's going to be awesome and amazing. And you would hate for it to be like a yard sale. You know what I mean? Just like a yard sale, and someone just puts the artwork and everything out there. $10, take it.
Books. Okay, like I love my books, and I wouldn't want them to just go to any cause. I want them to go to the local library causes I support. I want them to do like things that I would want them to do, because you spent your hard-earned money on them, and you spent years with them, and
so I spent some time with two of my good domainer friends today. And we went around the 5 stages of guilt and depression and all that. No one wants to buy our names. But what we centered on was people still don't know. Now, it's easy to say people still don't know if what you're saying is they should love my domains and only my domains, right? And if they would love my domains, everything would be great. But there is a certain level where people are still slowly realizing, why do I need to buy a domain name? Why do I even need a website? And so I think that those barriers are getting knocked down slowly.
And I think they're starting to, because I actually got a promotional message on Instagram this week that said, hey, we just saw that, you guys have a website, and I'm really glad you understand the importance of that. Obviously,
really?
they wanted me to pay them to do our email marketing.
Right.
But they were like, glad you have a website. Like, I think people are starting to get the importance of that, especially as, like, social media becomes where we kind of think that it's bad for us, so we're trying to spend less time on it, and it becomes more they're all on their own, where they're not letting you link out to other things. I don't know.
I think we need more websites. I sat there the other day and I said, how many websites do I go to more than once a week? And it was about 6. And it should be higher. You know what I mean? But I just think the Googleization, where Google wanted you to believe you could get everything from Google, has stopped what I believe was the original intent of the internet, that it would be decentralized. Someone who loved cats could have their own website about cats, right? And then you could have niches and micro niches and everything. So anyway, one of the reasons we started Monday Night Domains is so Julie and I could mix maybe me having the knowledge and experience for what's happened in the domain space, and mix it with Julie's take from she never needed domains, right? And so we really want to get to, is it true? Or is it just us saying young people should buy our domains, or is it really true? So as we go forward this year with more and more shows, we'll try to open up that, me trying to help with some knowledge. But then Julie, really, I look forward to how you can communicate that to people, because a website, an independent website that's owned by you, if you're out there thinking, why would I ever want to have a website? It's because you control it and you own it, and your renewal fee for a .com is $8, or it's not 8 anymore, it's $12. And for other TLDs, it might be, 20 to $30. Web3 TLDs don't have renewals, and you own it and you control it. And I just think that in a world where everyone's trying to make money off of you, that's one reason. Secondly, is if we do have a recession or a slowdown, if you already own something, it's easier to build on an asset that you already have, rather than continuing having to pay a SaaS service for this, an app for this, a social media platform for this, advertising for this. You got all these expenses. And when people look at their expenses and they want to do like an overhead check, right? They're going to see all these monthly bills, you know what I mean? But if yeah.
So, and there's also a learning curve to this kind of stuff. And I do want to say that, you can look at, do websites and just owning your own thing. At least in a business sense, we know it does, because the amount of promotions that businesses give you for downloading their app. If you look at any business, like 20-25% off any fast food, download our app, free item. Like, there is obviously a point to that, and a reason and a benefit for having that. And so even whether it's tracking all of your data, or just because whenever you download an app, you sign in with an email, and so then they can use you for email marketing. Okay, on a website they can put it in the little box for the promo code. Same thing, same deal. And then even if you have a website, or even if you have an app and you prefer to use your app needs a place. Every app that I see has a mirroring website, whether it be an IO or anything like that. You type that app into Google and it pops up the app's website. We can't argue that websites are.
Yeah, and all the information that's being sent in and out of that app is being sent through websites.
Yes.
So the app is how they want to control you, but they need to be drawing information from websites which have domains. So here's the question for the second part of our show, Julie. You want to make $1 million?
Absolutely, I do. I've had to feed.
So I was fortunate enough twice to sell domains for over $1 million. And I wonder, a lot of people could hear about domains and say, can you still make money in domains? Could you still, over some time period, make $1 million in domains? And if we're going to reprove whether, there's lots of reasons to own a domain name. Number one, to help your existing business where you already make money, make more money. That's the number one reason to own a domain name. That's why you're going to sell it to somebody, is because they make mattresses, widgets, they sell cars, they sell artwork, whatever they do. The value of a domain is that they already make money doing what they're doing, and they can make more money. Domain investing is the business of buying a domain name when it happens to be available for a certain price, and holding it till a specific person or a specific group of people want to compete to buy it. So it's really based upon time. You know what I mean? Secondly, there's a hint that not everyone knows about domains or how to buy domains, because the industry is so fragmented and controlled by big companies who only want you to have a selective little bit of information. You know what I mean? They don't want you to know everything about it. And then the people that hold domains, domain investors and domain companies, they only want you to own their domains. So they really don't have an interest in informing the whole public about domains. They just want to inform them about their domains. So into this world, Julie, because if you are a young influencer and you could make $1 million in domains, I think you'd have some followers. What do you think?
I agree. I think if we can find a way to track Can you still do it? Take someone on a journey through social media. I
So
think
what I thought was a guy did this in baseball cards about 20 years ago, and other people have done it on social media, where you start with $100, and the question is, can we go from $100 to $1 million?
Did
And
you
we'll
ever?
track what we buy, and I'll put the $100 in an account for you, and we'll
Oh,
talk about each week what we bought and what we did,
oh, I
and
love
then
this.
what do you think?
I think you're a genius. I think it reminds me of the gal a few years ago who traded a toothpick for a house. Did you ever see her?
That's exactly it. That's
Love,
yeah.
first of all, I love her. Second of all, that's so much fun. And
So
it's free domains. So I'll
and
split
we'll
the
talk about it more in our space afterwards. So the way we're going to do Monday Night Domains now is we're going to do live video every week for the first half hour, where it's just Julie and I, but everybody can chat and everyone can contribute. And then mostly it's also where you can watch the replay, because a lot of you are watching this later in the week. Thank you to all the people who have said you've seen our show. I saw you at the show. Look at that. You know, you said, oh, I like what you guys do. Hopefully we can talk domains and bring you a little insight and have a little fun. But what we want to do is say, can you go in there right now? Now, the easiest way to make $1 million in domains is to start with 5 million, because you can go out and spend 5 million on domains, and then you can turn around and say, I want to sell them, and you can sell them for $1 million. So you didn't really make $1 million, though. You just
so when we're saying can you make $1 million in domains, are we saying profit $1 million, like net complete profit, where we keep track of everything that we? Well, I guess our only there's not that much difference in $1 million and $1,100,000, because we're only going to invest that.
But I think the key is to domaining is best done when you have your monthly overhead and your monthly bills covered some other way, and you're allocating specific money toward investing in domains for the long term. Because even though we're going to try to make money in domains, the more you need to make money today in domains, the
Yeah.
harder it is, because you're going to have to convince people. Just because I say to Julie, I need you to buy my name. I need you to buy it. That's not going to affect whether she buys it or not. It's
Well,
still
you're right. I would.
right. But so the key is to allocate your capital. And Warren Buffett said this over the weekend. If you can watch 4 hours of Warren Buffett talking at his shareholders meeting, it's some of the best wisdom you'll ever get, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or like Warren Buffett, 90. But he said you have to always be in the game. Never risk your money to where you're not in the game to live another day. So that's the one thing about domains. If you go and get a credit card and put $5,000 worth of domains on it, and you can't make the monthly payment, you're going to have to sell your only good domain to be able to cash out,
Yeah.
So allocate money that you can afford to put in there, because it's the waiting and the time. Now, for us to take $100 and turn it into $1 million,
I want to keep you all on the bus, so we got to work a little fast.
we're going to have to work a little harder. So we are going to do some, what would you do? So I'll leave you with this, Julie. I think the way we start is every domain name has a retail value of what a perfect end user would pay. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Purple Store. If you operated a store called the Purple Store, it might be worth it to pay $3,000 or $4,000 for that domain, especially if you could do it on payments. You know what I mean? Like $200 a month for 2 years. And if you wanted that exact domain, you would probably pay the highest and best price. Then there's the domainer price, or the wholesale price, which is what is it worth to buy that name, where you're going to wait for that perfect buyer. And maybe that number is 60 to 80 to $100. You know what I mean? Depending on trends. Like if last night there was a report that a bunch of store names sold for $5,000, then like the wholesale value of it, you know what I mean, may go up a little bit, And then if we were in a recession, the wholesale value may go down, because people are like, I'm not buying anything, But so what you have to do to make real money in domains is you've got to find a way to buy domains for less than the wholesale value, so you can sell to other domain investors. And it's really hard to do. But that's how you can make money instantly. The second way is to find domains that are available for a great price or have just expired and no one knows that they're available, and try to sell those to the perfect end user, and we call that outbound. So those are the first two ways for us to take our $100 and try to get to $500. Is we've either got to be so good at domaining that we can buy for less than wholesale,
which we're gonna do.
so we can put it for sale at wholesale and have someone immediately buy it because they're like, oh, I'll totally buy that name. You know what I mean? Or we have to buy names that are either recently expired and reach out to the perfect end user. What do you think about that, Julie?
I think I'm gonna say what I've said for a long time, and we gotta have a mix. I think we should spend. Here's a sneak peek. Who knows what we're actually gonna do? Disclaimer: this is not commitment. I think we should spend $75 on a pretty good domain. You can get a pretty good domain for $75.
Right.
And the other $25 on expired auction. We'll probably get the $75 one from expired auction domain too. But like the clearance rack.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I think we may have to start with $1,000 then.
I don't know if I have no opinion.
The $75 name, we may have to wait 4 or 5 months for that to turn over. You know what I mean? Because to buy a really good name and sell it for a really good price. But I was thinking we'd work our way up to having names like that. But this is what I think a new domainer would be thinking. Like, say you were doing influencing, right? And someone's like, what should I do with my first $1,000 or my first $100? And these are some of the options that you have.
So that's why I think we have to start with $100. I don't think it's feasible to start with $1,000. I would say I'm 25. I'm about to be 25. Ooh.
Right.
I've been working for a while. My bills are paid. I don't have $1,000 to invest in something new that I would need to wait months to pay off of it. I think it has to be 100 because I spend that. That's easy.
Yep.
I can do that on a weekend if I want to. I feel like we got to keep it at
100. Let's do it. All right, everybody. We are starting 100 to 1 million with Julie Howe and Paige Howe. Follow along and track what we do each week, and we will write it down.
Woo-woo. All right, we'll see y'all on Spaces.
All right, bye-bye.